Hello and welcome to the 2024 Holdfast Contemporary Arts Festival Zoom information session. This year's deadline is 11:59 p.m. on April 30th, 2024. The festival dates are August 20th through the 24th, 2024, taking place in the city of St. John's. My name is Elijah Martel. I am the Holdfast Festival Coordinator. So I will be the primary point of contact for folks during the application process and during the festival. It is a joy to get to meet so many incredible people and work with you and support you throughout the process. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me, email, social media, or we can set up a one-on-one. We respectfully acknowledge that the land we are occupying is the unceded and ancestral homelands of the Beothuk, and that Uktuhamguk, known as the island of Newfoundland, is home to the Mi'kmaq peoples. We also recognize the Inuit of Nunatsiavut and Nunatuxavut, and the Innu of Nitassinan as the original peoples of Labrador. This acknowledgement is a commitment we practice in action, striving for respectful relationships with all peoples across Turtle Island. Holdfast Festival is a celebration of contemporary performance, interdisciplinary art, and community engagement. Our core values are facilitating community engagement and meaningful exchange, increasing public arts literacy, creating opportunities for artists, critiquing and subverting structural oppressions and systems of power, with emphasis on queer, feminist, and anti-racist perspectives, Newfoundland and Labrador regional identity, and Indigenous resistance to colonialism. Holdfast culminates in a Saturday afternoon art crawl, which is a series of performances, installations, and interactive pop-up staged outdoors and in non-gallery venues across downtown St. John's. Past programming has included performances, interactive installations, workshops, dance, drag, burlesque, and free community events for people of all ages. So we have 4 to 5 headliners each year who are our featured artists. During Holdfast, every featured artist presents all 3 of the following: an art crawl project, a workshop, and an artist talk. Featured artists are paid in accordance with CARFAC fees. For the art crawl, a festival performance fee, $495. For the workshop, $500, and for the artist talk, $500. We also provide a travel stipend for artists outside of the St. John's metro area, up to $600 with receipts. We recognize that this is not enough. We don't want people to lose money coming to perform at our festival. We're working on getting more funding, and in the meantime, we are very happy to write letters of support for artists who are applying for travel grants. The first core part of the application is the art crawl project. So this is a performance or an interactive installation which is presented on the last Saturday of the festival. The goal is for these projects to be presented outdoors in daylight on pedestrian thoroughfares or non-gallery venues in downtown St. John's. Successful art crawl projects are impactful, dynamic, engaging, and flexible. We encourage artists to propose performance art, site-specific, staged in public parks, storefronts, local galleries, etc. Local community collaboration, participatory artworks or interventions with public space, interactive installations and sculpture with the artist acting as host or otherwise present or engaged in some way. So the art crawl project is the most important part of the application. I'm going to go through this next part kind of fast. All of this is up on our website, but these are just some examples of art crawl projects from the past few years. One thing to note as we look at these is that the festival is constantly evolving. So rather than looking at these as like the gold standard or, you know, the model, the mold that your proposal has to fit into, I would say focus on the current selection criteria, but we're looking at these past examples for you to get a sense of the scope of the spaces that our festival exists in, what's been done before, and maybe where you have the opportunity to bring something completely new and fresh. So this is from last year. Ale Monreal presented Entre Líneas, which is a series of overlapping projections on handwoven textiles, exploring memory and the dual identity of being like an immigrant Canadian. The Phono Automat was a collaborative project between the Idlefield Art Collective and local analog photography collective, Dark NL, where they retrofitted a camper van into a solar-powered mobile recording studio. Folks could come and make tapes of songs or spoken word or talking or whatever they wanted. Dark NL would like take photos of people and then they could decorate their own album covers. Nia Abdullahi had short films in the Whiteness, which was projected in various spaces around downtown. Georgia Weber, A World Within a World. This is like a series of wheat-pasted interventions like throughout downtown. Daisy Jeffries, Dream Zones, Hormones, Fishbones, Undertones, projection, installation, sculptural piece exploring a hypothetical trans femme love story from the 1990s and engaging with queer history. Faune Ibarra presented A Shore Stranded, juxtaposing colonial early 20th century imagery and photography of icebergs in Newfoundland with performance and projection. Shazia Ahmed's Dreaming installation, a giant fabric tent where she hand screen printed all of these patterns and sewed pillows, put it all together and created a space where people could come and hang out and read zines and connect with each other. Luca Jesse Apple in 2022 put together this Mother Nature performance. He built a ball gown made entirely out of single-use plastics and essentially trash, and did a living sculpture type performance on the downtown pedestrian mall. Newfoundland is a draglesque performer who presented Nautical Nonsense, which was a series of themed burlesque performances related to like various elements of and aspects of Newfoundland island culture that were presented one by one over the course of an afternoon. April White presented How to Smile, where they dressed up as this character Noodle and walked the route of a smiley face through St. John's. This is from 2021. Robin Love's work is called Spin Cycle, and it's a bike set up hooked to wool spinning as a way to explore connection between people. The Flemme Fatales, which is a local drag collective, created The Labyrinth, which is like a capitalist hellscape haunted house that combined installation and set dressing and performance to create an interactive experience. 2019, Ariana Richardson brought the Consumption Therapy Demonstration Chamber, which is like a giant plastic hamster ball full of garbage. Lucas Morneau presented Workout in 2019 with these costumes referencing like mummers, which is a Newfoundland staple, and leading jazzercise in a public park. Those are just a brief selection of some of the art crawl projects that folks have brought. The workshops, which is the second piece of every application, is your chance to share a skill or make art with members of the public. This can be related to your art crawl project, or it can be something completely different. Typically, a workshop lasts 2 to 3 hours, should be accessible to someone with no prior experience. Staff can help you refine workshop proposals or decide between ideas. So in recent years, we've had eco-printing, flower pounding, diorama making, intro to burlesque, zine making, collaborative analog sound recording. So just very wide array of options. And these are always fun and pretty chill. Again, the art crawl project should be something that is pretty much packaged and ready to go when you present it in your application. The workshop, there's a little more flexibility and room to kind of change and refine proposals in conversation with staff once you have been selected. And then lastly, the artist talk. So everyone gives an artist talk on the Friday evening before art crawl as a way to sort of share context and prepare audiences for what they are about to see you present the next day. Our staff is happy to help with this, especially if you've never given an artist talk before, which is true for a lot of the folks who have been featured artists with us in previous years. So that's a quick overview of the festival. Let's take a look together at the application. The application this year lives in Google Forms. When you click into it, there is a big block of text at the top of the application, which restates the first part of this presentation pretty much. So it is there for you to refer back to. Selection process. Our selection committee consists of arts workers, community partners, and artists at different stages of their careers. We understand that everyone has different levels of experience in writing proposals and documenting their artwork. So I, the staff coordinator, do not vote on the selection committee, which means that I am like a non-biased source who is available to help you, the artists, in your preparation process, and I am available to chat with you and answer questions. Featured artists are selected based on the following criteria: strength and clarity of concept, artistic merit, public engagement, feasibility of proposal, and alignment with Holdfast's core values. So the selection committee literally has a rubric that they look at that goes down each item on this list, like looking for how you demonstrate these things in your application. So let's unpack a little bit. What does this mean? Strength and clarity of concept. So we are looking for ideas that are developed, original, and exciting. If you are a practitioner of drag or burlesque or some kind of like folk arts or traditional dance, what angle or idea are you adding to it to make this into a unique contemporary performance? Is there a message? Is there an opinion? Is it like clearly about something? And do you communicate that message to the committee? So your proposal should be something that you have already clearly put a lot of thought and planning into, something that is already well developed, that we don't have to help you continue to refine or workshop because you're coming in prepared. Artistic merit. This is a chance for us to celebrate and reward folks who have strong technical skills in concept and execution. So to score highly in this, I would encourage folks to send in work samples that look good, that show us what you can do. Public engagement. Holdfast's target audience is a broad swath of the general public. We're a community arts festival. Projects are staged in streets and thoroughfares, in storefronts, in non-traditional spaces. So not every great art project is well suited to Holdfast. Things to consider. If it's a performance, how will you draw people in? Who will be engaged by it? If you're making an installation, how is it interactive? Do people take something from the display? Do they leave something? Do they add to it? Is it something that they can touch or like crawl inside of? For feasibility, does this project proposal work within the constraints of the time frame, the budget, the equipment, and the space that we have? Is it something that would work well in a public area or a cafe, a restaurant, a storefront? Does it have a little bit of flexibility in case it rains out and we have to shift into a different space? Is it something that you have done before, or maybe you've done something similar? We love site-specific work that is developed in response to the surroundings, to the community here. But also, as an organizer, I have seen how nervous the committee gets when in the proposal, it's sort of like, oh, this is TBD, that's TBD. I'll figure that out once I get there a few days before the start of the festival. When there's a lot that's up in the air, it's a harder sell for the committee to say yes to. So this is all kind of information that you can include in your proposal or in your portfolio, or if you choose to send in a CV or other documents showing I did something similar to this last year, or like I have these really transferable skills, that will inspire the committee's confidence. So this is like asking you to show that you are comfortable with the kind of work that you are proposing, that you know what you're doing, and that you can pull it off for the festival. And then lastly, alignment with core values. So our core values are facilitating community engagement and meaningful exchange, increasing public arts literacy, critiquing and subverting structural oppressions and systems of power, and then with the emphasis on queer, feminist, and anti-racist perspectives, Newfoundland and Labrador regional identity, and Indigenous resistance to colonialism. So of course, not every project proposal has to do every single one of those things. That is a huge ask for any one project. But ideally, a strong application is one that really clearly responds to at least a few of these core values. Holdfast welcomes applications from emerging and self-taught artists, performers, and creatives, individual artists, groups, curators, and collectives, members of equity-seeking communities, and this is key, preference will be given to projects which are complete or near completion at the time you apply, or which are similar to examples of successful past work. We have limited ability to support projects that require extensive or unusual technology. So if you're not applying with a finished project, show us the transferable skills, show us that it's a little bit field tested, that you're not trying something terrifying and new for the very first time in like a high pressure public facing environment. Okay. Submission details. We prefer to receive applications via this Google form. To make alternate arrangements, like a purely audio or video submission or a Zoom interview, which will be recorded for the jury, please send me an email, eeholdfast@gmail.com, no later than April 15th, 2024, so that we have time to schedule it and send it along to the committee in a timely manner. Here's the full list of what we ask for in submissions. It looks like a lot, but a lot of these are like optional or like one-line answers, so please don't be intimidated. A short artist bio, art crawl project title, art crawl project summary, art crawl project description, the technical equipment you need for art crawl. Then for the workshop, same thing, title, proposal, equipment, materials, space requirements, optional, alternative workshop ideas. So that way, if you and another featured artist both propose like a natural dye workshop, you have a plan B. Like, here's something I would also be totally happy and comfortable to teach. And it just kind of minimizes the uncertainty and back and forth in the planning process, which we love. Then a link to support materials, which includes your image list, up to 10 images and or a link to video or audio clips. Optional, a CV, resume, or any other document that tells us more about your past experience and who you are. We prefer PDFs for this. And then optional, self-identification and or connection to place. Okay, so let's get into that. This is pretty much exactly what it looks like in the form. Name, if you perform or create art under a different name or prefer a name that is not your legal name, we would need to know what name to put on the check that we write for you. But you're welcome to include like more than one thing and just make a note for like how you want us to refer to you. For your email, please put an email that you check often. This is the way that we prefer to communicate with our artists and applicants. So if I send you an email being like, congratulations, please confirm within X amount of time, and then I don't hear from you, it will make me anxious. Mailing address. So for grant reporting purposes, we have to list where our artists are based. So this is our chance to get that information. That's why we ask for that. And then also if we need to send you anything by mail, like if we're sending you a check in advance of the festival to help cover your travel, we would want to know where to send that to. Your pronouns, how do you want us to refer to you? That could be she, her, he, him, they, them, she, they, he, any other combination. New things that are not included here. This is for us to make sure that we are referring to you respectfully in our promotional materials, as well as in our committee discussions behind closed doors. Short artist bio. So this is also something for us to use for promotion. The intended audience is the general public. If you are selected as a featured artist, this is what will go in the announcement. The art crawl project title, self-explanatory. What do you want to call it? And then that's what will go in the brochure. The art crawl project summary. This is like the very, very short version. How do you condense the idea of your project into 1 to 3 descriptive sentences? Rather than having 3 sentences that are just like big metaphysical questions that your project answers, here I would love to see, this is an installation that people can interact with in this way. Here's the question that it explores, like making it a little bit concrete so that if this is the only thing that is included in a promotional announcement, someone still understands what they are going to get if they come to see it, so that they can kind of like start to get excited. Okay. Art crawl project description. So we asked that this be between 200 and 500 words. I won't be like going through it with a microscope or like ticking off with a pencil exactly how many words this includes, but we put an upper limit to be respectful of our committee, who are all volunteers who do a lot of reading over the course of this process. So again, I would say err on the side of easy, boring language. Give us like a concrete, specific description of the project that helps the committee to envision exactly what you are going to be doing, and then like how it works and why it matters. How will your project engage the public? How will people interact with it? Hopefully going deeper than I'll put it in the middle of the street and people will look at it. We are going through all of these like incredible, excellent applications, looking for the ones that best help us fulfill our missions of community engagement, increasing public arts literacy, speaking to our core values. We also ask folks to list out any technical equipment that you need for Art Crawl. So putting it on the list doesn't guarantee we'll be able to provide it. We don't have access, unfortunately, to infinite projectors or like sound systems, but this lets us know like, do you need a projector, computer, speaker, microphone, stuff that can go indoors, outdoors, extension cords, a stage. If you have requirements for an installation, like someplace I can put hooks in the wall. This is also a great place to list it out. So this shows us that you have put thought into that aspect of it. Again, this section is to help us understand how feasible your project is going to be and whether we have the capacity to support it. Okay, yeah, same thing for the workshop. What's the title? What's the proposal? How long the workshop will take. Again, our target is kind of like 2 to 3 hours, something that somebody can come and do without being an expert in the discipline. And then for the workshop, like what equipment are you using, what materials and space. So this is like technology, equipment, materials, and then like requirements for the workshop space. Like, do you need to be outdoors? Do you need access to running water? Do you need sturdy tables? Do you need a projector, a sound system? One thing to keep in mind is that we can't guarantee any kind of material reimbursements at this time. So like my best recommendation would be design for success, like propose something that is kind of like within the bounds of what you know will be okay for you. You know, we have collage materials on hand, we have scissors, we have staplers, but if it's like, I need 10 pounds of processed fish skins, like I will do my best to find that for you, but I cannot promise anything. The more specialized something is, the more likely it is that you're going to have to find it yourself. And again, we're working on funding for material reimbursements, but can't promise anything. So just something to keep in mind. And then, yeah, if you have a plan B, if you have an alternative workshop you'd like to also offer, feel free to include it here. All right, the link to support materials. So for folks who looked at this application last year, we used to have it where you could upload your stuff directly into the form. And Google changed out from under us to where if you want to upload anything, you have to have a Gmail and you have to log in. So we have changed it a little bit, which means a giant block of text right here, but hopefully in the long run, it will make it easier for folks to do. So we are asking, like, please link us to a folder. Google Drive is great. Dropbox is fine. We are asking for, first of all, your image list and your images. So for the image list, that's pretty much what it says on the tin, but we would love for you to include all the information that is relevant to help us understand the work. So like, what is the title? What is it? What is the medium? What's it made out of? Materials, dimensions, like are we looking at something big or small? What year was it made in? Maybe the location, were there any collaborators involved? And just please make sure that the image list matches the file names and numbering so that it's clear to us which is which, and like the committee isn't trying to guess which thing on the image list is which image. For the images, please send us clear, well-lit images of your work. We are looking for work that is related to your Art Crawl project or evidence of transferable skills. So, you know, if your Art Crawl project involves large-scale sewing, you might include some other textile work to show us that you are comfortable and good at sewing. You can also include concept sketches or works in progress. If you are sending in audio or video work, the best way to do that would probably be a link to a streaming platform like SoundCloud, Vimeo, YouTube. For longer works, please specify the start end times for a 5-minute clip you would like us to watch, just again, to be respectful of our committee's time. And it takes a lot longer to sit and watch a film clip than it does to look over still images in a portfolio. And then optional CV or resume. So if you have a CV or resume or any other document that tells us more about who you are, your past experience, that is up to 3 pages, send it. We'd love to see it. You don't have to send it, but if you do send it, we'll look at it and the committee will include it in what they consider. For all of these documents, PDF files are preferred just because personally, my computer does not have Microsoft Office, like it doesn't have Word on it. So if somebody sends me a Word document, then it gets reformatted into a Pages file the second I download it, which can mess up the formatting. And I would prefer not to mess up your formatting. And then lastly, there are these sections for optional self-identification. Your identity is not a deciding factor in your application. This is not going to be used in public-facing materials to be like, here's this personal information that this person disclosed to the committee. You know, only your artist bio is used for that. Like, you choose how you are presented and described in the context of our festival materials. If you are part of a community or have lived experience that is important to your identity, whether that is like BIPOC, LGBTQ2SIA+, disabled, femme, any other community, you're welcome to share it, especially if you think like, this gives really necessary context to understanding my work. It also helps us reflect and improve our outreach and processes and understand like who is applying and who's not applying. So whatever you put here will be seen by the festival selection committee and staff, me, but like it won't be used or broadcast unless you also put it in your artist bio as something that you explicitly want to share. And then connection to place. You are welcome but not obligated to explain your personal connection, if any, to this region, the province of Newfoundland and Labrador and/or Atlantic Canada. Again, this is not a deciding factor in your application. We're not screening for like where you live or like where your grandpa came from, but by sharing, you help us understand like where our network is, like who are we connecting with in our outreach and then who we're missing. So in this dream scenario where we get abundant grant funding for outreach, we'll be like, oh, here's where we have connections and here's where we don't. Like, that's it. So if you choose to put anything into here, thank you so much. This is helpful, like very helpful for us, and we appreciate the trust that is involved. If you choose not to put anything, that is totally up to you and it does not count against you in any way. All right. And then at the very bottom of the form, we have details about the accessibility of our physical space, and then link to our website, our Facebook, and our Instagram. That is the application. Here are some of the questions that I got from folks in advance of the info session today. First one, can performance artists like dancers or burlesque artists also apply to perform? Yes, and I hope that you do. So as we talked about a little bit earlier, you could be the best like burlesque artist in the world. What I would hope to see in a Holdfast application is then also like, what is the idea? What is the opinion? What is the connection to our core values? So for example, like Newfoundland, who was one of the examples from 2022, did a series of burlesque acts that came kind of encoded with commentary on like being queer and from Newfoundland, being part of one's whole identity and not like two separate and incompatible pieces. But I think part of what makes our festival so, if I do say so myself, wonderful and like a pleasure to be a part of is that somebody who is coming in with something that is very cerebral, very conceptual, very like cutting edge modern contemporary performance art can coexist on the slate of headliners with someone who is like, I'm a burlesque artist who has not thought of myself in terms of fine art and has never given an artist talk before, but I'm really happy to be here. And both of those things are equally of value to us. So short answer, yes. Is interdisciplinary collaboration encouraged? Also, yes. The reason that Holdfast is like very explicitly a performance-focused festival is because that is where a lot of our grant funding comes from. And we love to get out of the world of labels and see things that are like multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, collaborative. The folks who ran the Idlefield Art Collective, who ran the Phono Automat, developed this collaboration with analog photographers to add yet another interactive element to the piece. So if this is your question and you have a specific kind of interdisciplinary collaboration in mind that you would like to talk more about, please reach out to me and I'm very happy to chat through some of the specifics, but short answer, yes. How long of an engagement are you looking for the art crawl? And this is similar to the question in the chat. How long is the art crawl? Is there an expectation for performance time length? What is the max duration? So art crawl typically start to finish runs about 6 hours. Last time it was 2 to 8 p.m. last year. And in no version of the universe do we expect someone to produce a 6-hour performance. It is like the key thing for artists to keep in mind is that art crawl is more a series of casual encounters with folks from the public than it is a sort of like, okay, sit down in a darkened, controlled space and experience a single 2-hour performance and then it's done. To design for success, artists take different approaches. Some folks who are doing something like character-based might say, okay, I'm going to be in costume on the pedestrian mall for like this 2 to 3 hour block of time. Other folks have said, okay, I'm going to do 15-minute sets on the hour from like 4 to 8 p.m. There's a lot of leeway in how to make sure that someone who encounters this unexpectedly or casually or like gets there after the start time can still have a meaningful experience with it. And also this is something that, we can talk through more on a case-by-case basis. How comfortable is the festival with people who do not currently work in St. John's? Are out-of-province artists eligible to apply? In short, we really hope that people who don't work in St. John's apply here. Like this happens to be where we're based. I'm a city creature who doesn't personally have a car, but the festival it's not a St. John's festival. It's just like where we happen to be. In past years, like roughly a third of our artists have been from out of province. And I would love to see more applications from folks coming from other parts of the province, other parts of the island, other parts of Atlantic Canada. So like not only eligible, but encouraged, everyone is encouraged to apply. The main thing for folks who are not based here is like, I, as the festival coordinator, will spend the summer periodically checking in with you, usually on Zoom or the phone, and like taking pictures of possible venues, being like, okay, will this work? What do you think about this? If I can get this space for you, is this your preference? If you have not been here or are not familiar with here, you can definitely check out Google Street View to kind of start to get an idea of what is the physical space. So yeah, this is an area where we don't want like where someone happens to live to be a barrier to the greatest extent possible. So if you are not in St. John's, please apply and we will do everything in our power to support you in the process. Okay, connected to that, for folks coming in from out of province, will it be important for us to be there for the entire festival or will a component be only over a couple days, mostly asking due to hotel costs? Okay, fantastic question. There's a lot bundled in here. So the festival is only 5 days. And the things that are set components are like the Saturday art crawl, the Friday night artist talks, and then the workshops are typically scheduled sometime between Tuesday and Thursday. And we really try hard, A, not to double book people, and B, to try and make it possible for people who work day jobs to still attend. We do work with artists who are traveling from farther away to try and make the schedule work for them. And also, like the festival starts with like an artist meet and greet launch party. And we would love to do like a little coffee brunch farewell for some closure at the end of the festival. The other thing is that if you are planning to travel on an airplane, the best thing that you can do is give yourself a little bit of a margin for weather. Last year at Lanya Vanya, which is like a big local music festival in June, one of the headliners was trying to get in from Halifax and was shut out by fog and like missed his show. So for me as an event organizer, I would be like super nervous if someone was like, okay, my flight is getting in an hour before I'm scheduled to like teach a workshop, just because that can be unreliable here. And it's like the geographical reality of where we are. That said, obviously $600 is not like enough travel. We have in the past worked with our community to try and find billets for artists. We are happy to help write letter support and help artists look for additional travel funding. And like we're hoping to get more funding just so that we can take a more proactive role in taking care of our artists in that way. So I guess the short version is we really strongly prefer people who can be here for the entire festival. And also we will do everything in our power to maybe like help folks find other paid gigs while they're in town, help them get other sources of funding, help them find a billet, like whatever extra work we can do to make that not unmanageable for artists, we will do it. Okay, what advice do you have for artists who are shy or neurodivergent? This is also a fantastic question. And again, one that is hard to give like a blanket answer to because everyone's situation is different. You know, there are the folks for whom a big noisy public engagement event is agony. And there are the folks for whom it's like an area of challenge, but one that they want to grow into and become more comfortable with. So my best advice would be to design for success. Like, are you creating a project where you have to be the center of attention and be like 100% at your best and on all the time? Or are you creating something where, you know, maybe you're in a full body costume, maybe you are behind a stage and a puppet is where people are focused to. Maybe it's an installation where you're present, but like you can be off to the side, you can take a break, you can step out if you need to. For Fancy Artist Talks, I am here to support folks who are not practiced public speakers. Like I have sat down with artists and like heard them give a version of their talk before the event itself and been able to give feedback and be like, that's great. You know, you're doing wonderful. I believe in you. Other artists, like in a pinch, have shown video as part of their artist talk. So it takes a little bit of the pressure off them in terms of public speaking. Teaching a workshop is harder to create a workaround for. Another option is to like apply collaboratively, like find a friend who is really comfortable with public engagement or who can support you or be like a co-collaborator. We had an artist recently who had never given an artist talk before, who was also pretty new to giving workshops, was not accustomed to being a public presence, and was like, this makes me really nervous, but I really want to be good at it. And they applied with a collaborator who, you know, helped them put together the project behind the scenes and who was there on Art Crawl Day to be able to like be company and moral support. Like we have staff around, we have volunteers around, we don't abandon our artists and like throw them to the sharks, even on Art Crawl Day. Like you will have someone with you, and, you know, maybe you tap your best friend and be like, here's my schedule. Can you also be here on this day for extra support? So again, everybody's situation is different. The festival environment does kind of skew people heavy, interaction heavy. It can be loud, it can be chaotic. You know, we try and provide spaces that are quiet that people can like step into for a break on like Art Crawl Day, for example. But I would encourage folks to like design for success, be proactive with communicating your needs to us so that we can figure out how best to support you. And then also, again, only you as an individual know this actually would be hellish for me and I would have a really bad time versus like, this is an area that will challenge me, but I really want to overcome that challenge. So I hope that helps. Again, feel free to reach out to me if you're more if you'd like to know more about like, here's this specific situation, or like, what supports can you offer me, through XYZ, and I will do my best to answer them. And then for local folks, if you're like, oh, I want to be involved in the festival, but maybe after watching this presentation, like the featured artist thing is not for me. There are also pop-ups during the art crawl. So if you have art that is already finished and you would like to install it as a way to get a taste of what it is to engage in the festival, if you would like to maybe like test out a workshop concept, these are unpaid opportunities. So mostly it's a chance to like re-exhibit something that is already done if you are just like excited to be involved. Folks will sometimes like teach workshops. A lot of this is like through organizations and community groups and nonprofits who have either like their own internal funding sources or who are, again, just like want to field test a workshop concept. Like definitely don't go way out of your way to develop something that ultimately I probably can't pay you for. But if you're like, I teach this workshop all the time and somebody else is paying me and I would like to do it during Holdfast, like fantastic, amazing, give me a call. And then lastly, we love having volunteers. So our volunteers help with like staffing workshops, keeping artists company at art crawl sites, taking photos, supporting featured artists, putting up and taking down installations. A lot of it is like telling people where to find the nearest washroom. But anyone who volunteers with us for at least 5 hours gets a free Eastern Edge membership and a t-shirt and pizza, and the real treasure is the friends that you make along the way. And that is about it. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I'm Elijah Martel. I'm the festival coordinator, and it's been a pleasure.